Mahabharata, Episode 4, Part 2, Bhima and Duryodhana, Strength versus Jealousy. Before we step into the palace of Hastinapura, remember, the Pandavas stood strong because they stood together. If you wish to stand with this story, subscribe, like, and share. Together, we will carry the Mahabharata to every corner of the world. Bhima's dominance. Day after day, the princes trained in the palace yards, and day after day, Bhima's strength outshone them all. When they wrestled, it was Bhima who threw cousin after cousin into the dust. When they raced, it was Bhima who leaped the farthest, who sprinted the fastest, who laughed the loudest. At meals, he devoured food enough for 5 men, his appetite as legendary as his might. The Kauravas whispered among themselves, "What hope have we, when Bhima alone can defeat us all?" And Duryodhana, their eldest, their leader, listened to every whisper. With every word, the fire inside him grew hotter. Duryodhana's jealousy. At first, Duryodhana tried to match Bhima. He trained harder, lifted heavier stones, swung heavier maces. But no matter what he did, Bhima always stood above him. Every fall in the wrestling pit was a humiliation. Every laugh from Bhima was a blade in his pride. At night, Duryodhana's fists clenched. If Bhima lives, he thought, the Pandavas will always be stronger. If Bhima lives, my brothers will bow to them, not to me. Envy had become hatred, and hatred now demanded action. The feast by the river. One day, Duryodhana invited the Pandavas to a feast by the river. The sun shone bright, the water glimmered, the tables were laid with food and drink. "Eat, cousins," Duryodhana said, smiling. "Let us enjoy ourselves, as brothers should." The Pandavas, unsuspecting, joined the feast. Bhima, with his great appetite, ate more than any. He drank deeply, his laughter booming across the riverbank. But what Bhima did not know, what none of the Pandavas knew, was that the food and drink had been laced with poison. Poison in the cup. Slowly, the strength of Bhima's body began to falter. His head grew heavy, his limbs weak. The laughter faded from his lips, replaced by silence. His eyes closed, his breath slowed. The Pandavas, merry from the feast, did not notice at first. But Duryodhana did. He leaned close to his brothers, whispering, "Now is our chance." Together, they lifted the unconscious Bhima, bound his arms with ropes, and dragged him to the riverbank. Bhima cast into the water with a final shove. They cast him into the dark waters of the Ganga. The river closed over him, silent and deep. The current carried him away, down into the unknown. On the bank, Duryodhana stood watching. A smile crept across his lips. "It is done," he thought. "The mightiest of the Pandavas is gone. Now the throne will be mine." Nagas of the deep. But fate does not bend so easily. As Bhima sank, the river carried him to the depths of Nagaloka, the realm of serpents. The Nagas, children of the great serpent Vasuki, swam around his body. They smelled the poison in his blood, and they drew it out with their fangs. Instead of death, Bhima found life. Instead of weakness, he found strength. The serpents fed him with their own elixirs, granting him power beyond mortal men. He slept in their halls for days, bathed in their venom, reborn with the strength of countless elephants. When Bhima awoke, his body was as stone, his arms like iron. The poison was gone, burned away by the gift of the Nagas. Returned to Hastinapura at last. The Nagas lifted him from their halls and carried him back to the surface. Bhima rose from the river, alive, stronger than ever. When he returned to the palace, the Pandavas embraced him with joy. But Duryodhana's smile faded into disbelief, then into rage. "He lives," Duryodhana whispered. "Even poison cannot kill him. Then I must find another way." And thus, the rivalry between Bhima and Duryodhana was no longer envy alone. It had become hatred that sought blood, a hatred that would one day end in war. The river had carried Bhima into the depths of death, but fate returned him stronger than before. And though Duryodhana's plot failed, his hatred had only begun. If you wish to follow this story further, subscribe, like, and share. Just as Bhima returned with the strength of the Nagas, your support gives this channel the strength to carry the Mahabharata across the world.